September 1st, 1995. A courtroom in Ontario falls into a silence so heavy it feels like the air itself is holding its breath. At the center of it stands a man whose name Canadians will never forget. A man whose crimes shattered families, scarred entire communities, and forever changed the way the country understood evil. Paul Bernardo. As he waited for the judge to speak, many believed they were about to witness justice. But the sentence delivered that day did more than lock a man away. It created a fate many argue is far worse than any execution. Because once the trial ended, once the cameras vanished, once the headlines faded, Bernardo entered a world built specifically for people like him. A world designed not to rehabilitate, but to isolate, control, and slowly erase. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why Paul Bernardo's existence behind bars is viewed by many as a punishment more severe than death itself. Stay with me. Before we dive deep, let me know in the comments, is true justice served in a cell or in the grave? Bernardo was officially handed life imprisonment with zero chance of parole for 25 years, a dangerous offender designation. That second label is rare, reserved for individuals the justice system believes should never walk freely again. In Canada, this designation is the closest thing to a legal guarantee of lifelong imprisonment. But what most people never understood was that this label also triggered something else: the strictest correctional protocols available in the country. From that moment forward, Bernardo was no longer treated like a typical inmate. He became a permanent high-security risk, a target, a symbol, and a threat all at once. When the judge's gavel came down, Bernardo's courtroom punishment ended. His real punishment began the moment the prison doors shut behind him. He was sent first to Kingston Penitentiary, one of Canada's most notorious maximum security institutions, home to the country's most violent and volatile offenders. From the second he arrived, he was placed under constant observation. His movements were monitored every minute. Any interaction with staff occurred through barriers or steel doors. He was immediately assigned to protective custody, and not for comfort, but for survival. Because inside prison walls, crimes against children are considered the lowest of the low. And men like Bernardo do not simply serve time, they are hunted. Guards knew that if he was ever placed in general population, he would likely not survive a week. Not because the justice system wanted to spare him, but because inmates saw him as currency, an opportunity to earn status through violence. Thus began a life of isolation so intense, it breaks some inmates long before their sentence ends. To understand why his confinement became so severe, you must understand the life that led him there. Paul Bernardo was born on August 27, 1964, in a household shaped by dysfunction, secrecy, and emotional neglect. His father was later charged with abusing his eldest daughter. His mother withdrew from the world, sinking into depression and resentment. The home was cold, unstable, broken. As a child, Bernardo developed early obsessions with control domination, fantasies involving humiliation and power. By adolescence, these fantasies began to merge with violence. He displayed troubling behaviors, setting fires, cruel pranks, dehumanizing jokes, obsessive sexual fixations. At 16, he learned the man who raised him was not his biological father. Instead of compassion, the revelation only deepened his anger and warped sense of identity. College never corrected his trajectory. Behind his charming public persona hid a pattern of aggression. Partners reported coercion, humiliation, threats, manipulation. By the mid-1980s, his behavior was escalating beyond private relationships, and soon the streets of Scarborough would feel the impact. Between 1986 and 1990, a series of violent attacks terrorized Scarborough. Women walking home at night, students returning from evening classes, teenagers navigating familiar streets. The attacks were sudden, calculated, and escalating. Victims described blindside attacks. A man who seemed confident practiced a precise pattern of surveillance and timing. Police collected biological evidence early on, but Canada's DNA system was still developing, creating delays that would later prove devastating. While the community lived in fear, Bernardo grew more confident, more violent, more reckless. Each assault fed the next. And then, in 1987, he met Carla Homolka. Their relationship did not ground him. It amplified him, validated him, fueled him. Together, they crossed lines neither had crossed before. On December 23, 1990, the darkest chapter inside the Homolka household unfolded. Carla's younger sister, Tammy, just 15 years old, became the center of a horrifying plan. Carla had access to animal sedatives from her veterinary job. Mixed with alcohol, they created a fatal combination. What followed was a crime so disturbing, investigators struggled to describe it, even in official reports. Tammy lost consciousness. She vomited. Her airway became obstructed. Emergency responders arrived too late. Carla and Bernardo told paramedics it was an accident, alcohol poisoning, and incredibly, their story was believed. Tammy's death was ruled accidental. For Bernardo and Homolka, this was not just a secret, it was a green light, a belief that they could act with no consequences. What happened next would shake the entire nation. Leslie Mahaffey, June 1991. 14-year-old Leslie found herself locked out after curfew. Bernardo encountered her outside her home. She vanished. For days, the community searched desperately. What they didn't know was that she had been taken to Bernardo and Homolka's home. Her captivity was recorded on videotape. Her death, although not tied to a specific moment, was the result of sustained abuse, deprivation, and fear. Her remains were later discovered encased in concrete blocks in Lake Gibson. The nation was stunned. Kristen French, April 1992. Kristen, 15, was abducted in daylight from a church parking lot. Unlike Leslie, she remained conscious during her captivity. The search effort was massive, but Bernardo and Homolka hid her carefully. She was killed by strangulation. Her body was found days later, left openly, almost defiantly. These crimes, combined with the older Scarborough assaults, transformed the case from a local investigation to a national outrage. Canada demanded justice, and when justice came, it came with a harshness rarely seen in the country's modern history. Paul Bernardo isn't simply serving a prison sentence. He is serving a slow erasure. Inside Canadian maximum security, he lives in isolation. He is monitored 24/7. He is moved only when escorted by multiple officers. He is barred from any typical social contact. He faces constant threat from inmates seeking status. He is kept alive under extreme restriction, not out of mercy but necessity. He spends the majority of his time in a cell the size of a bathroom. No control, no privacy, no freedom, no future. Many believe execution would have been a release, but Canada denied him that. Instead, he was given a life designed to break a man slowly, a life where every day is the same, where the silence becomes a sentence, where the past echoes louder than any outside voice. This is why so many argue. Paul Bernardo's reality behind bars is a punishment far worse than death. Now that you've heard the full story, do you believe this punishment is enough? Or should the justice system have taken a different path? Drop your thoughts below. If you want more deep, psychological true crime breakdowns, hit the like button and subscribe. Beyond Justice isn't just about crime. It's about understanding the minds, the consequences, and the truths hidden behind every case.